Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like we continuously follow the stretchable Indian Standard Time. Unfortunately, we've got very few parents that have turned up today, and it would have been nice if we had more present here, because this is a very crucial stage of your child's life. And I think at this stage, the children feel that they are big enough and mommy and daddy don't need to come into school for the orientation. They feel a little embarrassed at times when parents are called in for report card distribution or orientation programs. But I think it is very important that you people that are here spread the message to other parents that this is a very crucial stage in your child's future, and you'll need to play a major part in it. No matter how embarrassed the child may feel on having mommy and daddy in school, but I think you'll need to be here to be able to delve deep into what is needed for your kids. Because we are in a very competitive world today. We have thousands of such overqualified people who still are unable to get jobs, who are unable to place themselves out in the world. And I think we need to help our children to realize this, the importance of education, and especially at the junior college stage, which is the threshold of moving out into the big bad world, where they move into universities and colleges. And like Mrs. Raza said, today our children have so many openings for them. Years ago, we had just a few professions that we could sort of choose from. Today, they've got thousands of openings at their feet, and they just need to be guided and pushed into the right direction with choosing a profession that would suit them with all the many thousands that are available to them. Now, with regard to our +2 section, we are treating the children who have moved into this section as young adults, but we have certain rules and regulations that are in place which allows proper discipline in the +2 section and allows its smooth functioning. And I'm a little bit of a stickler with regard to discipline, and I hope to inculcate a certain amount of discipline into this section so that the children don't lose focus in these 2 years where, like I said, they move out into the big bad world. And if they sort of stray at this point of time, it can cause issues for them once they move out of school or even before with regard to their performances, etc. So I'm going to go through a few points with you with regard to discipline, and there is a part in our almanac which is basically dealing with the discipline of our students in school, and I will be circulating a performer to the class 11 parents to sign in a day or two, and I'd like this to be sent back to school acknowledging these rules and regulations that have been put down. I'm going to go through a few of them so that we set things straight with regard to discipline, with regard to rules of absence, etc. Because we do have a very strict CBSE board that does not allow students to do their board exams unless they have a certain percentage, which is 80% of attendance in school. So it's nice to let you all know prior of the rules and regulations in place so that later on neither you nor us are in a situation where a child has not managed to get 80% attendance and is not being allowed to do the examination. And let's not reach a point where these kind of situations come in. So let's get everything clear so that we are all on the same page with regard to the rules and regulations for our junior college children, so that later on we don't have to hold our heads and spend moments in anguish. So I'm going to move to our first set of rules, which deal with absence and late coming. No leave of absence is granted except on prior written request from the parents. This must be sent in prior to maybe an outing scheduled, a wedding, but it is the discretion of the school on giving leave. And generally, we do not encourage leave during school hours or during the school period, because it does create issues for your child with regard to his syllabus completion, etc. So try not to make requests with regard to, you know, we've got a wedding in the family, or we've got to go down to Delhi because it's my cousin's birthday, so on and so forth. Try not to make these requests, because it does put you and us in an awkward position. Students not attending school for more than 3 days due to ill health should submit a medical certificate from a recognized doctor. Now please do see that this is done. We have many children who will come in with a doctor's certificate, but when questioned, they will say, we went to Bangkok for a holiday. And I'm sure you know how that works. There are many people who can be, you know, pressurized or asked a favor to give in a certificate stating that a certain child was ill, while the person and the family has been enjoying a holiday in Bangkok. And I don't think that is right, because we are sending wrong signals to the child. We are showing them ways of beating the system in an unfair way, and I think that is not right. So please be honest with regard to illnesses, etc. Do not get certificates that are fake. Like I said earlier, it is compulsory for the students to complete 80% of the attendance in the session. This is a rule that has been set by the CBSE examination body, and it is important that this is followed, and we do not deviate from this at all. If a child does not have 80% attendance, please do not make requests to promote the child or for him to or her to sit for the examinations, because we are very, very particular on these things, and there will be no deviation or adjustments made on our part with regard to attendance. So do see that your children have this minimum 80% of attendance. School gates will be closed 15 minutes after the timings for the school, which is 8:15 in summer and 9:15 in winter. I think these are the old timings. At the moment, no, I think they are the correct timings, because we do start at 8 o'clock in summer and 9 a.m. in winter. 9:15 is the time by which your child should be in school. Generally, most of our students come in by bus, and our buses are well in time. But if you do have a pickup, if you do drop your child to school, then do see that they are no later than 8:15 in summer and 9:15 during winter. There is no provision for a half day, and this is where we have a lot of requests from parents, requests that come in that we are going to Delhi and we have a flight at 1 o'clock and I'd like to take my child out, you know, midway through the day. We do not allow any half-day leaves unless the child has an appointment at the passport office, and in order to facilitate us to allow you to go out on this leave or to have this half-day leave, you must produce the document from the passport office showing us the exact timings, etc. Otherwise, half-day leaves are not permitted. There are certain areas where we will allow half-day, but it all depends on the nature of the situation. We have a medical officer in school, and they are well trained, especially with children. And if there is a case where your child does fall ill in school, please be sure that they will be well taken care of. We do not go overboard with any form of medication. It is just a simple medication to set things right, and then we immediately inform parents to come and pick up their children. Now moving on to the code of conduct, and I think these are rules that are very, very important with regard to the discipline of the children in the institution. And like I keep telling the class 11 and 12 children, I said you have to be role models for the junior kids who are always looking up to their seniors. I want to be like Shehnaz because she's such a fantastic swimmer, or I want to be like Rohan because he's excellent in his academics. And I keep telling the children that they need to be role models for the younger ones. They need to have somebody to look up to. I remember my days in school, where we looked up to our senior boys because they were like role models to us. They achieved so much in school, and it was nice to have somebody over there who we could try and emulate and get onto the right path. So I keep telling our 11 and 12 children that they must set examples for our junior children. And I think the code of conduct is very, very important with regard to this. And I'll just go through some of the important points in this so that you are well aware. Parents are requested to ensure that particulars in the identification declaration form in this almanac are filled as soon as the almanac is received by your child. On the first page, we have an area where parents need to fill in certain details, because we might have details of your address maybe 5 or 6 years ago when you were living in a particular area. And now that you've shifted to a new residence, we need to upgrade our systems in school so that in case of an emergency, we are able to contact you immediately. So this performer that is at the beginning of the almanac needs to be filled in and signed by the parents. Please do see that this is done. I think the almanacs have been handed out to the children. Not as yet? Not. So I'd like those to be handed out tomorrow itself so that parents can go through them and fill in details in this book that we have for the kids. The almanac must be brought to school daily because there are notices, etc., that are put into this book. And there is also a detailed planner of our yearly functions. All the events, etc., that we have for this academic year are in this almanac. And I think it's important that parents and children have this. But the children need to bring it in daily to school. Identity cards, proper and clean uniform should be worn by every student. A student without an identity card will not be allowed to board the bus or to enter the school premises. Now, I think in the valley, we need to be a little extra safe with regard to our children, and these ID cards are a form of identification. And for the safety of the children, I think it is important that they wear these ID cards constantly. So please do see that this is inculcated. Mobile phones, iPods, cameras, music systems, and other electronic gadgets are strictly prohibited in the school premises. Strict disciplinary action will be taken if these are found. In fact, they are smashed as soon as they are found. So I would like you to go home today and please inform your children that don't come home crying with a broken mobile or an iPod or any other electronic gadget, because we have warned you well in advance with regard to this, and it is for security reasons and also to prevent any unnecessary nonsense to be uploaded on Facebook and Instagram. You know, our children are well into these kind of things, and sometimes they are pushed by peer pressure, or they are, they sometimes without thinking would upload something on Facebook or Instagram which can cause problems for them. So please do see that your children are informed about this, and like I said, I'm going to repeat once again, if any gadgets are found, they will be broken immediately in the presence of the child. Please ensure that your child does not bring valuable articles like expensive watches, pens, transistors, calculators, jewelry, or other accessories. These items will be confiscated and are not returnable. They will be taken over and kept in our school office, because we do not encourage our children to come in with these fancy things, because it just puts them off focus with regard to their academics. No student will be allowed to come to school with more than 20 rupees as his or her pocket money. We have a very well set up canteen with some lovely dishes that are served daily, wholesome dishes, and they are very reasonably priced. And we encourage our children not to bring in too much money, because then you tend to have a crowd around you where a lot of fake friendships develop, where children might want to become a friend of a certain child because he has a lot of money on him, and this can lead to things that can go wrong. So please do inform your children, or do not allow them, or do not hand them more than 20 rupees a day. All students must come to school in proper uniform, and there is a detailed list of the uniform in the almanac, and I'd like you all to go through this. I will just briefly run through it so that you are aware of what your children's uniform should be during the summer and winter. And do encourage them, do have a check before they leave home to see that they are in the proper uniform on that particular day. For summer, you have your half-sleeve white shirts with a round collar, white shorts, this is for the junior classes till class 5, white trousers from class 6 to 12, black shoes with Velcro for LKG to 8, black shoes with laces from 9 to 12, white canvas shoes on sports day and during their PT periods. The 11s and 12s just have a single PT period, because we unfortunately have so many holidays that we just cannot afford to lose teaching time. So in order to prevent syllabuses from not being completed on time, we have just been able to give them a single activity period during the week. But on those days, they should be in school in their PT uniform with their PT kits. White nylon socks with 2 bottle green stripes, bottle green school belt, house t-shirt to be worn on every Friday and on the days that they have their P.Ed class. So that is the days that they can wear their PT uniform. Fridays, because we have a whole lot of activities, and when they have their P.Ed uniform. For the girls, we have half-sleeve white shirts with a round collar, white box pleated skirts not more than 1 inch below the knees, class 5 onwards divided skirts to be worn on white salwar kameez. White socks with 2 bottle green stripes, 3 inches below the knees, black school shoes with Velcro, white canvas shoes to be used for sports and your P.Ed days, and your bottle green belt. Boys and girls are required to wear uniform as per the designed specifications. So please do see that wherever you purchase these uniforms from, they are in adherence with our school lengths, etc., that have been prescribed by the school. Girls should have their hair properly, should tie their hair properly, and long hair should be plaited or braided neatly. They should wear only studs and no danglers and no makeup at all. Please do see that your girls do not come to school with any form of makeup and no long earrings, because we need to see that our children focus on academics. Otherwise, we'll have our boys looking in the wrong direction, and we don't want that to happen. We want them to be focused on their academics only. For winter, we have full sleeve white shirts with round collars, V-necks or high neck pullovers in bottle green school jacket, grey trousers with an 18-inch flare, black shoes with Velcro, grey woolen socks and bottle green school belt. For the girls, we have a similar uniform for the winter, and I hope that these will be adhered to without any issues. So please do see, parents, that your children come in the proper uniform, because I have noticed since I have been here that many of the children have been flouting the rules with regard to the way they dress, and some of them look very, very shabby. And it just does not set a good example for our younger children, and also in the personality development of these kids who are now moving out into the world. So please be firm. Please see that they do not wear colored shoes when they come to school. This is not part of our attire or uniform, and we will be clamping down heavily on children that do come in with colored clothes. Parents are requested that they must attend the school on specified days, especially for the parent-teacher meetings. This is very important because we have certain parents who don't show their face right throughout the year, and then suddenly they get a big shock when they realize their child has not made it to the next class. And I think that it is the parents who are to blame there, because you haven't shown any interest in your child's academics, and that this has resulted in them not doing well. Please don't take it that I sent my child to school, it is the school's responsibility to see that he gets through. I send my child to these coaching classes, and it's their responsibility to get through. Parents also need to monitor that their children are doing a lot of self-study at home, especially in classes 11 and 12, because the syllabus is so vast, and without self-study, your kids are going to face a lot of problems in doing well in these examinations. So do see that they are monitored at home, monitor their movements, because I have found that a lot of children who go to these coaching classes are exposed to things that are not right for their age, and many of them have lost their way at these coaching classes. So please be a little firm with regard to this, and try and encourage your children not to ask to be admitted into a coaching class, because I think what we do in school is sufficient for them here, and they do not need these added coaching classes. Because I find that a lot of time is wasted over there. Sometimes they don't even come to school because they're spending the whole day at a coaching class. And like I said, our teachers are well versed with their subjects. They are very keen to give off their best for your children, and we do not need our children being exposed to unnecessary things. In case of a change in address, telephone numbers and email addresses, parents must communicate in writing to the school administration office and take confirmation in writing. Like I said, this is important because if there is an emergency, we should be able to contact you with ease. I will be available to meet parents who are having any issues with regard to their children, whether it be academic, discipline, or any other issue that you need to speak about. I will always be available from 9:30 to 11 a.m. on all working days. I may be also contacted on Campus Manager, and you can also take down my email address, which is principal@dpssrinagar.com, principal@dpssrinagar.com, or you can contact me on Campus Manager. Feel free, parents, to write in if there are any issues that you need clarified. I will always make the time to see that I can answer you and help you out in any way that will help your child to a better future. So, like I said, I'm free to be contacted at any time. We have a certain amount of standard operating procedures with regard to the conduct of students, and this is also an important part with regard to our discipline. Disfiguring or damaging any school property, any form of gambling, use of drugs or intoxicants or smoking, rowdy or rude behavior, use of violence in any form, casteism, communalism or practice of untouchability, bunking classes, bullying, any form of indiscipline in the bus which will be noticed by the driver and the bus in charge and informed here in school. And like I said, carrying mobiles, cameras, iPods, etc. is an absolute no-no. Absence from class without proper written applications from the parent. We also have a discipline committee that is in place to handle these situations, and we meet when we have an issue that crops up, and it is a combined decision of this committee with regard to the punishment that a child should be given. And if we have cases where there is very serious conduct issues, your child may be expelled. For a smaller issue, a suspension will come in place. I have already made a stand on a few children who last year in class 10 disrupted the proper working of the institution, and I have told the parents that I am not admitting their children in class 11, and I am making a stand on that. So with regard to discipline, there will be absolutely no compromises. Suspensions will come and expulsion if the need arises as well. I think I have gone through most of the important rules and regulations and standard operating procedures with regard to the school, and I will be sending you a pro forma in a day or two where I would like the mother and father and the guardian of your child to please sign this so that we have this on record and in your children's file. So this will be sent in within a day or two. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to working with you and your children in this new position that I've taken up here in DPS, and I see that we have a lot of areas where we need to grow, where change is required, and I'm sure that with the fantastic faculty that I have under me, we are going to see that improvements are made with regard to certain issues where we might be lacking. I'm not going to say that we are perfect in the junior college. We have certain areas, and I'm being honest with you, we have certain areas that we need to look into, and I'm looking into those seriously so that our children benefit from everything that we provide them. I would also like you to encourage your children to come in when we have extracurricular activities, because that is also an important part of their development. Sometimes we tend to stress them out a little too much with just academics, academics, academics. And we need to give them a little bit of time to, unwind, to get those stress levels out. And I think the best way for that is to get onto the field, play a game of cricket or play a game of football. I recently had a game of football. We had a staff versus students football match, and it was so nice to see the class 12 children enjoy themselves playing this game, and it brought about a big change between the relationship between the staff and the students. And I think that is very important, and we must encourage our children to get out on the field, burn up that extra energy that is built up in them, because when we were children, we finished school and we got home and we enjoyed our evenings playing with our friends, enjoying our free time. Unfortunately today we're in such a rush where everything is concerned. There's so many expectations of people that our children have sort of lost their childhood. They come home, they're either stuck in front of the computer or the TV or on their phone. They don't have that time to get out and enjoy themselves. And we want our kids to be able to experience this, because it is extremely important for their development that they have this kind of exposure. And here in the valley, with the circumstances that we face, it's even worse for our children, because they are constantly locked in at home when we have these hartals and bands, and it takes a toll on them. I have seen a difference in the children here and the children in the plains. The children here are much more respectable, much more loving, but they have sort of lost their way a little bit. While the children in the plains are more materialistic, they, everything is I. But here I see the children have a very, very loving sort of nature. And we need to be able to help them as much as we can. And I have spoken to my staff with regard to dealing with our children. We have counselors in school as well, who are always available for any child who might be going through under any stress, needs to talk about it, peer pressure, whatever. Our counselors are here, and they are very particular about confidentiality. In fact, sometimes they won't even tell me what's wrong. And it worries me, but I'm glad that that child has a person who they can relate to and deal with these problems. Because sometimes, me as principal, you as mommy and daddy, the children are unable to speak to us freely, because we have that sort of distance that is there as parents and child. But when they can speak to a stranger or to a person who can help them with what their issues are. So we have a lot of counselors here in school, and they are ever willing to help out with any issues that your child may be facing. If you do feel that there's a change in your child's behavior and you're unable to understand why, come to school, speak to our counselor, and then let her take things over from there, so that she or he can help your kids with whatever issues they are facing. Thank you, parents. I look forward to 2 good years seeing your children from here out into the world, so that they can move into, the frightening, lovely, there's so many adjectives that we can use for when they move out into this world. But I hope that this journey of their 2 years at TPS under me and the staff will be memorable, and we can work together. That is most important. Please do stand by your school when we need you. Please do help us to bring out the best of your children, because we are in a profession where we have been professionally trained to see to the best for your kids. So sometimes you might not understand a decision that we take, but remember that we are professionally trained to handle your kids. So leave that decision up to us, even though you might not agree with it, but we can debate over it. But let's work together so that we can bring out the best in your children. Have a good day. God bless you all.